I enjoy virtuosity. I think it's a, you know, the sheer physical excitement of people doing very difficult things I get a lot of pleasure out of it in a sick way. And you know, there was a funny moment when my orchestra was rehearsing Wing and Wing for the first time, and there was a particularly hard first violin passage, and I said something like, well, you know, I thought it would have been an insult if I had written anything easier than what I did. And there was a voice from the back stands of the first violins that I think we would have liked to take the insult instead. I think every composer, on some level, wants to communicate. I mean, that's why would we otherwise write music? It is a form of communication, and how exactly do we communicate? That varies enormously. But I think I cannot imagine any composer not wanting to have his or her music to be heard, to be played, and to be reacted to. And I think that's a common. I mean, not otherwise it would make no sense. Of the distance one needs in order to create an interpretation of one's own piece is actually very hard, because when you conduct the first rehearsal of a new piece, the unknowns are so many, and the whole thing is so bewildering, and you don't know what is what. You don't know what is your fault as a composer. You don't know what is your fault as a conductor, and you don't know what is the orchestra's fault. And what is what? You have no idea, and only experience teaches you what was what. So time is needed even in this process. One would think that the composer knows the score better than anybody else. Yes, on some level, but as a performer, not necessarily as well as an outsider would. Of course, I'm better known as a conductor than I am as a composer. But then again, who is well known in the classical music world as opposed to, say, a rock and pop or film? Nobody. I mean, it's a totally irrelevant thing, because none of us is famous in the way Tom Cruise is famous. And so, you know, from this point of view, the identity question is kind of irrelevant. I am who I happen to be, and this person has these two sides to his professional activity, and that's it. And when I conduct, I'm a conductor. When I'm composing, I'm a composer. But the two sides of personality are never completely detached. And of course, Karajan was the sort of epitome of a conductor who gradually became more important than the composer. I mean, if you look at the whole Karajan cult, this was perhaps the first time in history when the conductor's name was printed with larger print than Beethoven's or Bruckner's. And of course, this particular separation is not, or specialization is not an isolated phenomenon in our culture, because you can see it everywhere. You can see it, you go and see a doctor, and the sort of diversification among doctors and specializing in this and that. This has gone very far, but not only in these kind of businesses, even in construction. I had this very funny experience about a leaking roof in Los Angeles. Did I tell you this last time? No. For me, this was the symbol of the trend towards utter specialization in our society. That our roof started leaking in Los Angeles, and we called the roofer, and the roofer came and said, no, it's not the roof, it's the deck, so you have to call the deck man. So the deck man comes, all of whom happen to be Russian for some reason. And the deck man comes and says, no, it's not the deck, it's the threshold. So you have to call the threshold man. And then there was a third Russian who came and said, okay, I'll fix it. So I said to my wife that this this is amazing that the sort of 4-inch area between the deck and the roof, there's a specialist for that. So if you keep that in mind, then you start speaking about how very few performers compose these days, then you can see that it's not an isolated phenomenon. It's just that the whole society is going like this. It's tunnel vision, and as a result of this, people who do more than one thing are immediately somehow suspect. Because if you do more than one thing, you cannot be serious. There has to be something wrong or sort of flippant, non-serious about your attitude if you attempt to do more than one thing. I've seen this many times, that